Section 1.4 Continued, Part 2 State Air Emissions Rules. All commercial diesel vehicles and equipment that operate in California, even those based out of state or out of country, are subject to the emission requirements as specified by California Air Resources Board, CARB. To enforce these requirements, CARB is authorized to inspect all vehicles and equipment for excessive smoke, tampering, and compliance with fleet rules and issue citations with substantial penalties for non-compliance. Commercial diesel vehicle inspections are performed by CARB inspection teams at border crossings, CHP weigh stations, fleet facilities, and randomly selected roadside locations. Some key regulations are as follows. Truck and bus regulation. Be aware, beginning in 2020, you will no longer be able to register vehicles with DMV that are not compliant with the truck and bus regulation. Regulation apply to nearly all privately and federally owned diesel trucks and buses and privately and publicly owned school buses with a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 14,000 pounds. Since January 1st, 2012, all diesel trucks and buses that operate in California must be upgraded with a diesel particulate filter or a DPF to reduce exhaust emissions. Since January 1st, 2015, lighter and older heavier diesel trucks must be replaced with 2010 model year engines or equivalent. By January 1st, 2023, nearly all trucks and buses will need to have 2010 model year engines or equivalent. The regulation provides a variety of flexibility options tailored to fleets operating low-use vehicles and fleets operating in select locations like agricultural and construction areas. Emission Control Label (ECL). All diesel trucks and buses with a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 6,000 pounds that have a 1974 or newer engine must have an ECL on the engine. A properly affixed and legible manufacturer ECL is required as proof that the engine meets emission standards. Periodic Smoke Inspection Program (PSIP). All owners of California-based fleets with two or more on-road diesel trucks with a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 6,000 pounds for engines 4 years old and older must annually test the opacity of these vehicles and maintain test records for a minimum of 2 years. Starting in mid-2019, trucks equipped with a DPF, regardless of engine model year, must comply with a smoke opacity limit of 5%. Non-DPF equipped trucks will need to comply with the smoke opacity limits of 20%, 30%, or 40% depending on engine model year and technology. Commercial idling. All commercial diesel vehicles with a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 10,001 pounds are limited to 5 minutes of non-essential idling in all areas of California. A commercial motor vehicle or school bus may not idle for any time at a school. Tractor, trailer, greenhouse, gas, GHG. All 2011 through 2013 model year sleeper day cab tractors must be SmartWay designated models. Model year 2014 or newer tractors are covered by federal regulations. All 53 feet or longer box trailers must be SmartWay certified or aerodynamically retrofitted to meet minimum standards of operation. Solid Waste Control Vehicle (SWCV). All diesel trucks with a gross vehicle weight rating 14,000 greater than 14,000 pounds and model year engines from 1960 to 2006 used to collect residential and commercial solid waste must clean up the exhaust from these vehicles by using particulate matter reduction technology. Public Agency and Utility Vehicles (PAU). All diesel vehicles with a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 14,000 pounds and a 1960 through 2007 model year engine operated by a public agency or private utility must clean up the exhaust from these vehicles by using PM reduction technology. Transit bus. All public transit agency fleet vehicles and urban buses with a gross vehicle weight rating greater than 8,500 pounds must add retrofit DPF filters or upgrade to equipment that meets more stringent emission standards and or replace existing diesel vehicles with alternative fuel vehicles. Transport Refrigeration Unit TRU. All diesel fueled TRU trailers and TRU generator sets based in California must be registered with CARB, labeled with a CARB identification number (IDN), and meet in-use standards based upon the TRU engine model year. Additionally, only compliant TRUs and gensets may operate in California. Port truck drayage. All on-road Class 7 and Class 8 gross vehicle weight rating greater than 26,000 pounds diesel trucks that transport cargo to and from California ports and intermodal rail yards, regardless of the state or country of origin, must be registered in CARB Drayage Truck Registry (DTR) and have a 2007 model year or newer engine. Note: for more information on each regulation above, visit arb.ca.gov/truckstop or call 866-6-DIESEL, 866-634-3735. Length of vehicle, loads single vehicle. The maximum length for a single vehicle is 40 feet. This length may be exceeded by parts complying with fender and mudguard provisions of the CVC. Note: some vehicles are conditionally exempted from the 40-foot maximum length, for example, semi-trailers, buses, and house cars. The front bumper of a vehicle must not extend more than 2 feet ahead of the fenders, cab, or radiator, whichever is foremost. On a bus, a front and or rear safety bumper may extend an additional foot with a wheelchair lift, and a wheelchair lift may extend up to 18 inches ahead of the bus. Additional extensions up to 36 inches in front or 10 feet in the rear of some buses may be added to transport bicycles. An articulated bus or trolley coach cannot exceed a length of 60 feet. Length of vehicle, loads combination vehicles. In a combination of vehicles, auxiliary parts or equipment which do not provide space for carrying a load or are not used to support or carry the vehicle may exceed the single vehicle length limit, but the combination may not exceed the length limit for combinations. A semi-trailer being towed by a motor truck or truck tractor may exceed 40 feet when certain conditions are met. CVC 35400B4. A combination of a truck tractor and a trailer coupled together shall not exceed a total length of 65 feet except as provided in CVC 35401 and 35401.5. A combination of vehicles consisting of a truck, tractor, semi-trailer, and trailer cannot be longer than 75 feet, providing the length of either trailer does not exceed 28 feet 6 inches. If posted, cities and counties may prohibit a combination of vehicles in excess of 60 feet in length on highways they control. Other exceptions can be found in CVC 35401.5. Extension devices are allowed with restrictions. CVC 35402. The load length on any vehicle or combination of vehicles may not be more than 75 feet in length, measured from the front of the vehicle or load to the back of the vehicle or load. Length exceptions. Some length exceptions are listed below. If the load consists only of poles, timbers, pipes, integral structural materials, or single unit component parts, including missile components, aircraft assemblies, drilling equipment, and tanks, not exceeding 80 feet in length, provided they are being transported on one of the following: pole or pipe dolly or other legal trailer used as a pole or pipe dolly pulled by a motor vehicle. Semi-trailer, semi-trailer and a pole or pipe dolly pulled by a truck tractor to haul flexible integral structural material. CVC 35414. Public utilities refer to CVC 35414B for load exceptions. The load on any vehicle or combination of vehicles must not extend more than 3 feet beyond the foremost part of the front bumper of tires. There are exceptions for booms, masts of shovels and cranes, or water well drilling and servicing equipment. A load composed solely of vehicles may extend 4 feet ahead of the front tires or front bumper. The load on any single vehicle may not extend to the rear beyond the last point of support, more than 2/3 of the length of the wheelbase of the vehicle. On a semi-trailer, the wheelbase extends from the center of the last axle of the towing vehicle to the center of the last axle on the semi-trailer. Width of vehicles and loads. The outside width of the body of the vehicle or load must not exceed 102 inches or 8.5 feet. The width of a vehicle with pneumatic air-filled tires measured from the outside of one wheel to the outside of the opposite wheel must not exceed 108 inches or 9 feet. Permitted devices limited to door handles, hinges, cable cinchers, chain binders, and placard holders may extend 3 inches or 6 inches on one side for vehicles used for recreational purposes on each side of the vehicle or load. Required devices limited to lights, mirrors, or other devices may extend up to 10 inches on each side. Cities and counties may post signs on highways they control to permit wider vehicles or prohibit vehicles wider than 96 inches or 8 feet. Special mobile equipment and special construction and highway maintenance equipment may not be more than 120 inches or 10 feet wide. Motor coaches or buses may be 102 inches wide. When operated by common carriers for hire in urban or suburban service, they may be 104 inches wide. When a vehicle is carrying loosely piled agricultural products such as hay, straw, or leguminous plants in bulk rather than crated, baled, boxed, or stacked, the load and racks that hold the load may be no more than 120 inches wide. A special trip permit may be obtained from the California Department of Transportation, Caltrans, to transport trusses and similar one-piece construction components up to 12 feet wide. CVC 35780.5. Variances for farm equipment. Implements of husbandry, farm equipment are generally exempted from width and length limitations if they are operated, transported, or towed over a highway incidental to normal farming operations. Owners and operators of such equipment should refer to the CVC provisions which apply. A Caltrans transportation permit may be necessary. CVC 36000 and 36666 and 36600. Heights of vehicles and loads. The vehicle height and or load limit measured from the surface of the roadway on which the vehicle stands is 14 feet. Exceptions. Double-deck buses may not exceed 14 feet 3 inches. Farm equipment moved incidentally over a highway. Weight limits. General. Caltrans has authority to post signs at bridges and along state highways stating the maximum weight they will sustain. Such weight may be greater or lesser than the maximum weight limits for a vehicle specified in CVC 35550-35557. Counties and cities may not post higher or lower weight limits signs along highways and bridges they control. Alternate routes may be given for vehicles that are too heavy for posted highways and bridges. Note: weight limitations by local ordinance do not prevent CMV from entering posted streets or highways by direct route to make pickups or deliveries of goods, wares, and merchandise. B. Deliver materials for bona fide construction, repair, etc. of a structure for which a permit has been obtained, or C. Make public utility construction or repairs. Axle weight limits. The gross weight that can be carried by the wheels of any one end of an axle must not exceed 20,000 pounds, 20,500 pounds for buses. Additionally, the load limit stated by the tire manufacturer molded on at least one sidewall shall not be exceeded. The weight carried by the wheel or wheels on any one axle must not exceed 10,500 pounds. This limitation does not apply to vehicles transporting livestock, CVC 35550. Combinations of vehicles made up of a trailer or semi trailer, and each vehicle in the combination must meet either the weight provisions of CVC 35551 or the following: the gross weight placed on a highway by the wheels on any one axle of a vehicle must not exceed 18,000 pounds. The gross weight on any one wheel or wheels supporting one end of an axle and resting on a roadway must not exceed 9,500 pounds. Exceptions: the gross weight placed on a highway by the wheels on any front steering axle of a motor vehicle must not exceed 12,500 pounds. And vehicles carrying livestock are exempt from the gross weight limit, which applies to a wheel at one end of an axle. A complete list of vehicles exempt from front axle weight limits can be found in CVC 35551.5b. The total gross weight with load placed on a highway by any two or more consecutive axles of a combination of vehicles or vehicle in the combination where the distance between the first and last axles of the two or more consecutive axles is 18 feet or less must not exceed that given for the respective distance as shown in the table in CVC 35551.5c. When the distance between the first and last axles is more than 18 feet, use the table shown in CVC 35551.5d. Weight limit logs. Weight limits for vehicles transporting logs are contained in CVC 35552 and 35785. Such additional weight may not be transported on interstate highways. Weight to axle ratio, CVC 35551. Highways and bridges are designed to carry only a certain amount of weight per foot of distance between axles. Vehicles carrying heavy loads must not put too much weight on any point. The limitations are shown in the tables found in CVC 35551 and 35551.5. The total gross weight in pounds placed on the highway by any group of two or more consecutive axles must not exceed that given for the respective distance in that table. In addition to the weight specified in the previously mentioned table, two consecutive sets of tandem axles may carry a gross weight of 34,000 pounds each. If the distance between the first and last axles of the sets of axles is 36 feet or more, the gross weight on each set of tandem axles must not exceed 34,000 pounds, and the gross weight on two consecutive sets of tandem axles must not exceed 68,000 pounds. Loading, unloading. Load limits are not enforced when vehicles are loading or unloading in the immediate vicinity of a loading or unloading area. A driver moving a load under a special permit may not change the route. Exception: to avoid violating a local city traffic regulation, the driver may detour the route on non-residential streets only and return to the route as soon as possible. Penalties for weight restriction violations. A driver who changes from the permitted route for an extra legal load without a peace officer's authorization to do so is guilty of a misdemeanor. CHP Uniform Weight Standards. A standard for enforcing weight laws has been established by CHP. The standard states vehicles weighing in excess of the legal limits by 100 pounds or more shall not be permitted to proceed until the overload has been adjusted or removed. In practice, CHP will allow for a 200-pound variation factor. After applying the variation factor, any vehicle exceeding the axle weight, axle group weight, or gross weight limits by 100 pounds or more will be issued a citation and required either to adjust the load to make it legal or obtain an overweight permit before proceeding. Cargo containing hazmat may be allowed to proceed as loaded, provided unloading or load adjustment cannot be handled with reasonable safety to the driver and the public. Livestock and field loaded bulk, perishable agricultural products destined for human consumption being transported from the field to the first point of processing have a special exemption. Drivers of vehicles transporting livestock and perishable agricultural products will be cited and allowed to proceed as long as the weight does not exceed legal limits by 1,000 pounds on any axle or axle group of a single truck, or 2,000 pounds gross weight on a combination of vehicles. Permits. Transporting an oversized extra legal load without a permit is punishable by a fine, jail time, or both. Excess load penalties may also be imposed. It is against the law in California to drive or move on any street or highway any vehicle that is wider, higher, or heavier than the limits described here. Permits for oversized vehicles may be obtained. Caltrans for state highways. Number 2, the city or county for city or county highways. Motor carrier permits. Any person who operates any commercial motor vehicle, either for hire or privately, not for hire, must obtain a motor carrier permit MCP. The motor carrier permit definition for a commercial motor vehicle is any self-propelled vehicle listed on CVC 34500 ABFGNK. Motor truck with 2 or more axles weighing more than 10,000 pounds GVWR, gross vehicle weight rating. Other motor vehicle used to transport property for hire. Note: an MCP CMV does not include vehicles operated by household goods carriers. California Public Utilities Commission. Pickup trucks or 2-axle daily rental trucks, non-commercial use, weighing less than 26,001 pounds gross. To obtain MCP forms and information, visit dmv.ca.gov. Write or call Department of Motor Vehicles. Unified Carrier Registration, UCR. Interstate or foreign motor carriers transporting property must obtain UCR, as outlined in the final regulations issued by the Federal Unified Carrier Registration Act of 2005. UCR fees can be paid online at ucr.in.gov. To obtain UCR forms and information, visit dmv.ca.gov. Speed limits. The maximum speed limit in California is 55 miles per hour for the following vehicles: a truck or truck tractor having 3 or more axles, a vehicle pulling any other vehicle, a school bus transporting any pupil, a farm labor vehicle transporting passengers, a vehicle transporting explosives, a trailer bus. For all other vehicles, the maximum speed limit on most California highways is 65 miles per hour. However, for 2-lane undivided highways, the maximum speed limit is 55 miles per hour unless a higher speed limit is posted. On some highways, the maximum speed limit is 70 miles per hour, but only if there are signs posted showing 70 miles per hour. No person shall drive at such a slow speed as to impede or block normal and reasonable movement of traffic, except when reduced speed is necessary for safe operation, compliance with the law, or when the size and weight of the vehicle or combination makes reduced speed unavoidable. Right lane rule. Vehicles listed in CVC 22406 must be driven in the designated lane or lanes when signs are posted. When no signs are posted, these vehicles must be driven in the right-hand traffic lane or as close as possible to the right edge or curb. On a divided highway with 4 or more traffic lanes in one direction, these vehicles may also be driven in the lane just to the left of the right-hand lane. When overtaking or passing another vehicle going in the same direction, drivers of such vehicles must use either 1. The designated lane, 2. The lane just to the left of the right-hand lane, 3. The right-hand traffic lane, when such use is permitted. Designated system access. Designated system access does not apply to a driver who is either 1. Preparing for a left or right hand turn, 2. In the process of entering or exiting a highway, 3. Driving in a lane other than the right hand lane to continue on the intended route. Buses, except school buses or trailer buses, may drive in any lane as long as they are not towing another vehicle. Movement off or onto the designated system freeway highways by larger trucks is allowed only at interchanges or exits which have the following signs. Movement is allowed along signed routes to reach terminals. Terminals are locations where freight is consolidated, full loads are offloaded. Vehicle combinations are regularly maintained, stored, or manufactured. Movement is allowed up to 1 mile from the identified exits or entrances leading to or from specified highways to obtain food. Number 2, fuel. Number 3, lodging. Number 4, repairs. Slow vehicle rule. On a 2-lane highway where passing is unsafe, a slow moving vehicle with 5 or more vehicles behind it must turn off the roadway at the nearest place designated by signs as a turnout, or wherever sufficient area for a safe turnout exists to let the following vehicles pass. Hours of service. You are required to comply with California's driver hours of service regulations when you are involved in intrastate commerce. You are considered to be involved in intrastate commerce when you do not 1. Cross the state line, 2. Transport cargo which originated from another state, 3. Transport cargo destined outside of California, 4. Transport any hazardous substance or waste. Other rules. You are required to comply with federal driver hours of service regulations when you are involved in interstate commerce. You are considered to be involved in interstate commerce when the cargo you transport 1. Originates out of state, 2. Is destined out of state, 3. Consists of hazardous substances or waste, 4. Any combination of the above. Driver's record of duty status. CHP is authorized to develop additional safety and driving regulations. A driver's record of duty status must be used to record all of the driver's hours. Drivers of CMVs must be in compliance with the hours of service requirements of CFR Title 49, 395.8 and the California Code of Regulations. A driver's record of duty status must be kept in duplicate by each driver and each co-driver while driving on duty but not driving or resting in a sleeper berth. The record of duty status must be presented for inspection immediately upon request by any authorized CHP employee, any regularly employed and salaried police officer or deputy sheriff. There may be instances when you do not need to maintain a record of duty status. Accident reporting. As of January 1st, 2017, every driver involved in an accident which results in death, injury, or property damage over $1,000 must report the accident on a report of traffic accident occurring in California, SR1 form to DMV. Report forms are available at dmv.ca.gov. You or your authorized representative must submit the report within 10 days of the accident, whether you caused the accident or not, and even if the accident occurred on private property. The SR1 is required in addition to any other report made to or by law enforcement or your insurance company if the accident resulted in damage over $1,000 and or an injury or death. If you do not report the accident to DMV, your driving privilege will be suspended. Note, CDL holders may downgrade to a non-commercial driver's license during any mandatory suspension period in order to be eligible to obtain a restricted driver's license. In order to regain your CDL, all knowledge, skills tests, and fees will be required. California law states that you must notify your employer within 5 days if you have an accident while driving your employer's vehicle. However, your employer may require you to notify them immediately. Financial responsibility requirements. Motor carriers of property. Most commercial motor vehicles transporting property are under the regulation of DMV, whose liability and property damage requirements are listed below. The following limits do not apply to pickup trucks as defined in CVC 471 and two-axle daily rental trucks with a GVWR less than 26,001 pounds when operating in non-commercial use. Transporting general freight exclusively in vehicles having a GVWR of 10,000 pounds or less, $300,000 combined single limit.